MMA Roadshow, episode number 368.
Yes.
My name is John Morgan. Cold coffee is with me. That's right. We are back together in Las Vegas. The dynamic duo was actually sitting across the table from each other, enjoying a nice frosty beverage. Award-winning Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Oh man, it's good. It's good to be here. Weather feels good. We don't have crazy dust Armageddon going on outside.
That was crazy, man. Like 70-mile-an-hour winds here in Vegas the other day.
Thing. I tried taking pictures, and I realized the camera didn't do it justice. But knowing that when you look outside, it's blue skies. Maybe there'll be some clouds, and you can see the clouds. It was so uniformly void of that because all there was dust in there that it was so different. I was like, oh my God, I got to take a picture. And I was like, this doesn't read at all. But I was like, it was the most bizarre thing. But even trying to just watch it outside, I'd sit outside for a little bit, and then literally I was like, I could feel that I was inhaling dust particles. I was like, let me just go back inside.
I don't think I've ever seen it that dust. I was talking to Danielle, I moved here in 2008, and I think that's the most I've ever seen it like that, where it was just zero visibility. We've had some wildfires bring in smoke sometimes. Right. It was kind of crazy. And we've had some dusty days, but yeah, it was nuts. And I'll tell you what, I had to land in it. I was in a plane that landed in it. I didn't actually
how was that landing? Did you take the autopilot off for that
Let me walk you through the steps that I did with the trim on
that's funny.
No, look, I sat in my first class chair and sipped a vodka soda
look at that.
While it landed. But so I had to. But the plane was, obviously you and I have flown a little bit, so the turbulence and shaking stuff doesn't bother me. But if you weren't a veteran flyer, this would mess, because the plane was pitching from side to side, even as we were landing, because the wind was blowing so hard.
That's no fun.
It was not good.
There's only been once or twice, I think, when I was on a flight where the landing, something about the wind just being able to come across the side and then bouncing you up. It's like it hits the ground, that comes back up, so then it gets you from the bottom. It's getting you from the side. Once or twice I remember feeling not scared, but to the point I was like, I can't take much more of this, because I was like, I'm either feel like I'm going to get super, super dizzy or nauseous or something. And like you said, we fly a lot. That doesn't happen, but it was so bad that I just remember thinking please get this plane onto the ground. It was just whatever. But yeah, with the winds that bad, there's something about landing in Vegas with high winds. It's rough.
It's rough.
It's super, super rough, man.
Rough.
And yeah, man. So I don't envy your position, but it was crazy. It was crazy that day.
I was just so happy to be back, so I got stuck an extra day in Jacksonville. So this ended up being the longest trip ever, because airfare right now is insane, man, because of the cost of fuel. I guess it's just nuts. So the cheapest flight I could take, it was $300 cheaper than any of the other ones, so it was significant enough that I was like, I'll go ahead and do it, was to take a red-eye on Monday night. So I actually left Vegas last Monday night, got in real early Tuesday morning into Florida, so kind of had Tuesday as just kind of a hangout day, and then, of course, we had the whole week. It's an East Coast fight, right? So those East Coast fights, man, you're not getting out of there till
hangout
4
day.
in the morning. Oh,
man, look at you. Go to a new place. You got hangout days now.
Big
dog. You're like, I'm calling the shots.
Editor-in-chief over here at MMA Underground, baby. We got to get adjusted, you know what I mean? We got to settle in.
So, are you just booking first class at this point? You just booking first
class?
No,
I'm still getting the upgrade. Still booking coach, man. Some things never change. But so we got out of the arena at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That was ridiculous.
It's late. I hate those East Coast pay-per-views, but 4 in the morning. Then come back to the hotel. Knocked out the and-a-half episode, as we always do, for the fine folks over at patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow.
Best folks, most handsome, funniest,
unbelievable
best people
educated,
in the world.
I mean, the greatest crew
best
of people.
Best drivers, everything.
Handsome, good looking.
Their children are all smart and good looking.
So I knocked that out. Just got really lucky, man, because the front desk agent there at the hotel that I was at was a huge MMA fan. And so when I was like, bro, I got kind of an evening flight. Is there any chance I can, get kind of a late checkout? And the dude was like, bro, whatever you need, man. I was like, cool.
Bro,
so,
are you first question guy?
Pretty much. So it was nice. So he was a super nice guy. So he was like, dude, if you want to stay in there till 2 or whatever, cool. So I took a night flight out because I didn't want to be in that rush thing. You know what I mean? Where you're trying to get to the 6 a.m. flight and all that. I can't do that anymore. But anyway, I was taking the evening flight out, was connecting through Austin, and then on to Vegas. Well, the connecting flight got delayed like 3 hours due to mechanical issues, so we missed the connection, and there was no other way to get us there. So ended up having to go stay in a hotel that night. Luckily, they came off with the voucher because it was their fault, so we didn't have to pay for anything. So it was nice, but it just meant that I was in Jacksonville next day, so I didn't end up getting home until on Monday evening. So it ended up being a full 7-day trip, and it just sucks to be away from the kid. And it kind of messed up things because I was originally going to get back Sunday. I was going to go out to the Bellator
press conference?
The press conference in L.A. I was going to go to that Bellator press conference. I didn't get to go, so I was kind of bummed because, first of all, man, they've got a great card this weekend, and we'll talk about that in a little bit of a second. Yeah. I just haven't covered a Bellator anything in forever. You know what I mean? At MMA Junkie, we're here in Vegas. Nolan King was kind of on the Bellator beat. It's been forever since I've been to a Bellator. So I was actually kind of excited to go catch up with those guys. That didn't get done. Plus, it's another day away from home, so it was a bit of a pain. But I tell you what's funny is, so while I was in the airport in Jacksonville, I was waiting. I saw Khamzat Chimaev there and his team, and first of all, it was kind of cool to see the attention that he's getting. Like, that dude is over, man.
Really, fans?
Fans were just running up to him.
That's awesome.
And you could tell, like, they were kind of scared to go ask him for pictures and stuff because I think they're like, I think this dude's a crazed animal, you know what I mean? But he was super nice, and he took pictures with everybody, and so it was cool to see that. But what was really funny was, and I mean, hopefully he doesn't beat me up for saying this, but they all missed their flight, even though they were sitting in the gate.
Oh, really?
There were 7 of them.
Because they were chatting?
Yes.
Oh,
they
wow.
they were going back to Sweden, man. So they had to.
How did they do that?
They missed their flight. In fairness, we were all in the same little gate area. There's probably 6 or 8 gates, and this one at the end of the Jacksonville airport. And I didn't hear them calling them the names or anything like that. And there were 7 of them on the plane. But I guess they walked up to the door 2 minutes late.
Oh.
And they were like, nope, you can't do it. So
that's terrible.
Yeah, so I guess I did see. So then they had to go standby. They rebooked them. I did see Khamzat and one of his training partners were able to get on a flight an hour later to Miami, and then I guess they were going to try to get him over to Sweden, but the rest of the team had to stay. But I guess so that was kind of cool. They put the fighter first, no, you get back. But anyway, it was just kind of a funny thing because I don't know if it's because they were so busy talking to the fans and stuff they didn't realize what time it was, but they were getting kind of swarmed, and the next thing I knew, I thought they were done, and actually somebody came up to take a picture with me, and I was like, oh, bro. I was like, oh, yeah, of course. And I was like, enjoy it. He's like, did you see Khamzat over there? I was like, yeah, but he left a while. He's like, no, he's there right now. I was like, what? And that's when I found out that they missed their plane. So pretty damn funny.
You figure somebody on the team has to keep an eye on that. If you got 6 or 7, who's the low man on the totem pole that's got to keep abreast of
I
that?
always hear about people that are saying they're trying to break into the MMA industry. They want to work in the MMA industry. If you're good at timekeeping skills and organization, Team Khamzat Chimaev is in need of somebody. You can just be like, hey, bro, if you bring me on board, I'll make sure you never miss a flight again.
I will be the dude. Just fly me around. I'll just be there and be like, time to go. Time to go.
Pretty crazy. But so anyway, missed the Bellator press conference, but did get, on the good news, I did get to have an extra dinner with my family home because this is a busy week, man. As we're sitting here recording this, I'm a few hours away from jumping on a plane and heading to Atlantic City for CFFC 107 on Friday night. So make sure if you're around on Friday night, you check out UFC Fight Pass. We actually have our man CM Punk is back in the booth. He's missed the last couple of them, so Andre Petrosky has filled in. And Andre is a very capable fill-in. He's done a good job. But I missed working with my man CM Punk, so he'll be back in the building this week. And then when I come back from that, I'm actually going out to Dallas next week to go see the PFL debut and sneak in a visit with the mom and dad. It's
look at you.
I know, man. Well, this company likes sending me on the road. I guess it helps that we don't have anybody else working for us, perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah, this new company I'm with, I guess, values me being on the road. Values me covering live events.
I guess so. That's a lot of traveling, though, man.
It is a lot of traveling. What's funny is I think part of it too was I wanted to do as much as possible, right out the box, just to get to see all these organizations, talk to them, let them know where I'm at, talk about what we can do, and, for
You
coverage
do that
and
over
stuff
Zoom.
like that.
Zoom.
There's nothing like the old handshake in person. It's different.
I know, but
it's different.
But the thing, man, that's a lot of road time.
Oh well,
you're supposed to be. You guys
okay,
have that quality family time.
That's where we're getting to. Okay,
yeah.
So I wanted to go do all this, and I was like, man, I was ambitious. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna that first month or two, I'm gonna check in with the UFC. I'm gonna check in with Bellator. I'm gonna check in with PFL. I'm gonna check in with One Championship. I'm gonna make sure they all know where I'm working, what our plan is.
Did you check in with the boss before you start saying you're gonna check in with them?
I am the boss.
No, you're the boss.
Well, the money guys,
No, I meant like your wife.
That was. Well, yeah, I did. Yeah, that is the boss. That's a family boss. But I did tell her, I was like, look, this first period of time, it's gonna be a little bit rough, but it's not gonna always be like. But dude, it has reminded me. It's funny, man. It has reminded me how don't forget that quality family time, man. It's just, dude, that is time you are never ever going to get back, right? You can never.
That's it.
Your kid is never going to be 9 years old again. Your kid is not. You have to do it, and so it is a good reminder that, hey, we're trying to do good things over here at the MMA Underground. We're trying to make sure that we fit in and we get things going in the right direction. However, let's not do it at the sacrifice of family, because that's a balance you got to strike, man. You can't. And I know a lot of us. Hey, we're the worst. So we're both of us are workaholics, man, and do it. And it's good. I think that helps you get where you are. I mean, a firm work ethic is good, and it's a value, and it helps you get where you got to get. But you can't forget what matters, and it's that family time too.
Yeah, and I mean that's, if anything, I mean that's, like you said. I mean, as much as a good work ethic is important, making sure you keep track of the family is equally as important too. But I know as a young reporter starting at a small startup, you got to feel that grind. You got to feel like that you're out there trying to earn a name for yourself. But as an experienced MMA man over here at an established place, I just want to say, make sure you take your time.
I appreciate that.
Embrace it all.
Wisdom.
Try to remember it all. Try to remember it. Don't rush to do too much. Remember the little things. Remember your first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Sage advice. Sage. It's funny. Jose Young's got me pretty good the other day. For anybody that's listening to the show for any time, we always had our little inside stick that, Jose Young's just a young, upstarting reporter. Hopefully he'll sign on somewhere. He's blah, blah, blah. Just always, because, when I worked for MMA Junkie, we would never mention MMA fighting. But we like Jose, man. He's a good dude. He was on the road a lot, especially, during Fight Island. He was the one that was there with me and Oscar Willis, Hot T. So, we just had that kind of inside stick going on. Well, this past week in Florida, the weigh-ins were kind of slow at the end. Like, we were down to like 1 or 2 people, and I think we had like 30 minutes where there wasn't much going on. So, I heard those guys live streaming right behind me. So I got up and I just went over and jumped on their live stream. I was like, wow, I can do this now. It's kind of funny. I was like, hey, you're real people. Like, I can actually address you as real people, and kind of had some fun. So, and then Jose got me with the tweet. He was like, the young upstart reporter, finally made it, got on an MMA fighting stream, and he's all excited about it.
Because I saw Jose's thing, but I think it was a GIF, so I didn't actually see the footage. But did you do the whole walk downstairs thing?
No,
what happened was
I just went up and said, hey, and I was like, you guys, I can actually be on these streams. I was like, you're real people. I can address you as real people, And I was like, hey, everybody, because I've been listening to a lot more of Mike Heck stuff, and I think he does a really good job. I was praising him, and then, just whatever, just being silly. And then, so when I was like, all right, well, I better go now, and I'm like, well, what can I do? And so I was like, I'm going to go back to the underground. So I ducked down out of the frame. I'm going back.
I was wondering what you said, but that makes sense. That's funny. That's funny.
And I dropped down to the floor and then fell down, and so it was fun.
I like it. You found a funny personality at this little upstart place.
Yeah, man.
You were too buttoned up at MMA Junkie.
I don't have to be buttoned up anymore, man. I mean, I still got to be, toe the line. We're not going to go inappropriate, but we can have a little bit more fun. So
I like it.
A lot going on, man. Just a couple hours ago, before we sat down, Marlon Moraes, I heard from Ali Abdelaziz that Marlon Moraes announced his retirement and is no longer done. So tweeted that one out. I saw Aaron Bronstetter had that report as well. Excuse me. Frosty Beverage doing its work there. But, man, crazy to see Marlon Moraes, 33 years old, man, and done. So I'm going to be interested to see.
I'm not hating on that.
No, I'm not hating on it. I'm going to be interested to see if it sticks. You know what I mean? And I'm not one of these. I know a lot of people are kind of like the pessimist of MMA retirements. They just make fun of them immediately.
Yeah.
But there's some that I think will stick. I'm kind of interested to see if this one sticks on. I imagine he's pretty down. I mean, dude, he went to Thailand. Speaking of being away from family, he went away from his family, went to Thailand to go train, and then still didn't get the result. First round knockout loss. Man, I know he's yearning to be with his family a little bit too, man.
I mean, he's been at the top of the game for so long. I mean, he's reached the pinnacle in some organizations. Didn't get there with the UFC, but he fought the who's who, the toughest guys. And if, like you said, he went all in that last one, he left his family for a long time to go do that training. I mean, to go across the world to do stuff like that.
And don't forget, get trapped in a hospital for a little while when he tested positive for COVID.
I mean, to do all that, I mean, I'm sure he was hoping that the thing was, a better outcome and that maybe that would change his mind. But, honestly, I mean, he's still, if he's done the right things and he's prepared, for life after it, and he has businesses, and if he has, or just things he wants to do, that will help him get through that retirement. I think part of what fails on the retirement thing is either and this is even just people that retire in any other field after they've been doing for something so long. If you can't keep your mind occupied, if you don't have something to take that time, I mean, you find the yearnings to go back to what you have been doing. So if he's prepared for it and wants to spend that quality time, we've been talking about family this whole episode. If he's giving a chance to do that sort of thing and he's prepared for it, the last thing you want to do is just hitting your head against the wall, trying to get back to something that you're more than likely, no offense to him, not going to maybe get to,
the highest level.
Yeah, I mean, he's been incredible for so long, and he's always been a top level guy. I just don't think he's going to beat the top tier guys. When I say the top tier, the guys holding the belt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen. So here's the thing. So he walks away on a 4-fight losing streak, 1-5 in his last 6, right? But listen to these names. The losses are to Henry Cejudo, Corey Sandhagen,
great fighter,
Rob Font,
great fighter,
Rob Davalishvili,
great fighter,
Song Yadong.
Great fighter.
You know what I mean? Like it's not. So I'm torn because I get it. I mean, and you hear these guys say it. They're like, man, when I can't compete at a high level anymore, then I know this time. But that's not beating those guys doesn't mean you're not competing at a high level, man. You're not fighting at the elite level.
Yeah, like you're not going for a belt. Like if you're not beating Song Yadong, if you're not beating a Rob Font, you're not going to make it to the title.
Right.
And while those guys, just like we said, those are great fighters. I mean, losing to those guys, there's no shame in that. Being a UFC fighter, there's no shame losing to anybody. They're all top-notch fighters. But if his aspirations and his goals is, it's the title or nothing, or why am I doing this sort of thing? If I can spend the time doing something else, protect the brain cells. 33 is a great age to get out of it and still be able to pursue something else. He could start a career in another field and still have a full career in another avenue and save his brain and be there for when his family maybe needs him.
True.
I mean, good for him, man. I mean,
and I'm sure he's done. I'm gonna guess. I don't know, but I'm gonna guess he's done pretty decent financially. Remember he came over as a champion from another organization, the World Series of Fighting. Ali Abdelaziz had done a lot to kind of raise his profile, and Ali is a stern negotiator when it comes to these guys. So I think he was doing pretty well. I mean, he was the face of World Series of Fighting, man. He defended the title like multiple times. So for him to come over as a free agent, you got to imagine the UFC had to pay a premium to get him.
We've never seen what his contracted. He's never been one of those ones we've never seen like a show or win, right?
I don't think so.
What do you speculate? 100? 150?
Let's see.
Is that too much? Am I going way too high?
The UFC 245 was in Vegas, so that would have had paydays. And in that one, 220,000, 110 and 110.
Okay.
That's when he defeated.
So I was close.
That's when he defeated Jose Aldo at UFC 245. That was December of 2019. He fought 4 more times after that. We know he lost all those fights, but if he was on 110 and 110, you got to think it probably slid up to like 115 and 115.
I was going to say it probably didn't go much after that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
usually bring him after a loss.
Yeah, they bring him out on a pretty good premium, but they brought him with a little room to probably move.
Yeah. So I mean, if he made
made
another $450,000 over those last 4 fights, I mean can't retire on that kind of money, but it's good at least. I mean, and who knows? And then obviously you get the stuff on the side and whatever. So I don't know. Hopefully he's good. I mean, I'm sure he's not walking away if he's not in a good financial position. You know what I mean? I'm sure he just try to keep fighting, but.
Well, at least I wouldn't think that he'd walk away without some other irons in the fire somewhere doing whatever. But like you said, good for him if he's getting out with his health and he's got his family and he's got aspirations to other stuff. I mean, I know all these. There's always people that are like, oh, he's still got more into him. I can't believe he's getting out now. Or bad on him. It's like, dude, if the fighter knows it's time, if it's starting to get not fun in there, and it's time to go. So I mean, who knows? Good for him, but like you said, we'll see if it sticks. Hopefully, he doesn't show up in like BKFC or some random slap organization, years later or something. But good for him, man. Thank you for the fights, Marlon. He's been one of the guys that, man. He's always been a stud, man. He's always fun to watch. You always
Such
knew
a nice dude, man.
Super nice, and you always knew what you're gonna get, from him in a fight. I can't think I've ever saw a fight of his where you didn't see him giving his all. And that's all we can ever ask as media members and as fans, of the sport. You hope somebody goes out there and gives their all and just isn't collecting a paycheck and taking it easy out there. He's always came to bang,
no
man,
question.
for sure.
All right, listen, UFC on ESPN 34 is this weekend media day today. I was actually planning on being there, but had a little bit of a...
We were planning on you being there.
We had some late little plans shift behind the scenes with the Morgan family, and unfortunately I wasn't able to make it. I was never going to be at the fights this weekend because I'll be flying home on Saturday, so I'll actually be watching them from a plane. But I was going to come to the media day anyway and help create some content and that sort of thing, and I did not get to do that. So a small contingent of media, including yourself, Hot T, and I believe Alan Dawson was there, who was based over in the UK, and that was it, right? Because a bunch of the media's at Bellator this week.
That was it.
Wow.
And it's funny because normally I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna shoot video, then I'll just chime in every once in a while or whatever. I was like, Morgan's got this. We're good.
Right.
We're good. And then when I got the message from you today saying, hey, not going to be able to get there today, I think what was my wording? I wrote back, fuck. I think I wrote, fuck, 0 prepared. And then I was like, all right, well, here's how it goes. And it's funny, I remember I initially tried texting Oscar, or like calling like, hey, you're going to be at media day, and he didn't answer at first. I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, dude, if
what
it's
if he
going
went
to
to
be just
Bellator?
you?
I was like, this is going to suck. I started texting in our Slack channel. I was like, guys, Morgan's not going to be there, so I think it might just be me today. I was like, don't plan on getting much. just to be honest. I'm like,
great.
I'm like, you're going to get what I get from 0 preparation for this thing.
That's funny. So, but you guys pulled it off. I was watching the stream during most of it. I had to move in and out, so I wasn't watching every minute of it, but I was watching the live stream, and I guess
even that had issues. Man, there's so many technical things. I brought the new camera out there, so I was like, I want to mess around with here. And like I was saying earlier, it's like you could plug it in here and run it, and everything seems fine. But until you take it out into the work environment, that's when shit starts going wrong. So it just was acting up, and I was just like, oh, of course. But this was the event for it to happen. But yeah, it was just at the beginning was just such a shit show. I was like, all right, we got no Morgan. My camera's acting up, and they're rushing to bring somebody in here. And I was like, no. Give me like 10 more minutes. And like, we're going to bring in the first person. And I was like, oh. And then it was already out of order right from the get-go. And I was just like,
that's funny. Well, I was going to so you said it. If there was ever one for there to be bad things, I got to be honest, man. I mean, I look, the main event is incredibly relevant, and it's a good fight. Vicente Luque, Bilal Muhammad, you're talking about 2 of the top-ranked welterweights in the division.
Yep.
I talked to both of them last week. And both of them have a pretty clear understanding of where the welterweight division lies. This was before the Khamzat Chimaev fight had happened, but I heard both guys talking about today. They fully expect Khamzat to fight Colby. They fully expect Leon to fight Kamaru Usman. But they realize that, this is important to kind of be in that next tier of staying right there.
Yep.
And I like what both of them said, too, and the fact that, because it's true, these are probably the 2 most underrated guys in the welterweight division that their name just doesn't get mentioned enough, and they're right there, man. They're in that grouping with that top level of contenders, and both of them know, like, hey, I don't expect my next fight to be a number 1 contender fight, but I feel like maybe this and one more,
Right.
and then I'm there. And I think they're right. So this is a big fight. It's a rematch. A lot of people might not remember because it was several years back. It was very early in their career. They were both on the prelims. It was one that Vicente Luque won very quickly, but it was one that Bilal Muhammad took on very short notice. And so both of them have kind of said, we don't really – I mean, it's so long
Two
ago.
total different fighters.
We're different fighters now. So anyway, main event, Colt Coffee. I mean, you talked to the guys today. Like I said, I talked to him last week. Excited for this one because I think it's a big one at 170, and I'll just say it, and then we'll talk about the rest of the card. It's really the lone meaningful fight in terms of impacting rankings and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some other good fights on here, but this is the one that has the most, the most on the line, the most at stake, I guess.
Yeah, and when it's funny because we even sort of talk about this, me and Oscar, like you said, this might not be one of those ones where it's like the contender, but it's a very important fight where it's sort of like setting itself up to be in the mindset of what could be a contender fight. And I felt like that is like this whole card. This is like one of those cards where there's no immediate like implications for the division, but this is like one of those cards where there's a lot of people vying to try to get near that contender spot,
right,
vying to get near where they're trying to make a good impression to start getting their names out there. And when you look top to bottom for this whole card, while there's not a lot of immediate ones where you say, okay, this is going to impact the middleweight, this is going to do this, these are all people that are starting to push past or maybe just drop back from being like in the middle of the field. I think this is another push to give them a chance to maybe, show why people should pay attention to their names. Some of these cards, there's so many fighters or so many fights that happen, you forget, names. You forget when the last time you see it. When you go through these cards, this particular card, and you look at a lot of these fighters, a lot of them have a lot of UFC fights.
Yeah.
At first when we were looking at it, I was like, oh man, are there, a lot of names? I'm like, are there any names? And I'm like, when was the last time I seen this person? Do they fight often? And then you look and you're like, oh shit, they just had 4 fights recently or something. So in terms of, yes, immediate near, ramifications for the division, of course, that the Vicente and Bilal fight has a very good shot of, if they go out and they both sort of said it, and Vicente certainly said it, and Bilal said it, and he said it, you go out there and you make a great showing. Dana, he's sort of, he's been known to, be impressed so much at some point that he's like, okay, this fight has to be the one that's going for the next shot.
Right.
If one of these guys go out there. And
these
guys
one performance can really get that for you.
These guys are close enough that they could steal a little bit of that thunder. And I think part of that was because the Hamzat Burns fight was so close that it wasn't that clear shot where it was like Hamzat has to get the next shot after this.
Yeah, because if Hamzat had somehow, when he hurt Gilbert, like if he had finished that fight in the first round.
In the first 30 seconds or the first minute and a half.
I think all of a sudden if you're Leon Edwards, you're like, can we get this contract signed?
Where's this contract? Because you knew it would have got...
Yeah, because they're about to take that shot away from you.
So, I mean, it was really neat seeing the respect that both of these guys gave Hamzat after as well. When I was talking to Bilal, but Bilal's always been one of those guys, that's been saying like, give me this kid. Nobody wants to fight him, give him to me.
Right.
I'll fight him, whatever. Hamzat's been like this boogeyman almost, where everybody's like, he's unbeatable, he's unstoppable, he's just gonna walk through everybody. And Gilbert made him seem like an actual human being.
Well, that's been the weirdest take for me out of that fight, right? Like after the dust settled and after my plane finally got home, to see the number of people that are like, Hamzat's been exposed, he's not that good. Like I had the exact opposite reaction. To me, I was like, no, Hamzat proved that he's really good. He showed that there's some things he can improve on,
right.
You know what I mean? But dude, the dude is really, really good. He is as advertised. But I think you're right. Like people had built him up to be like, this is the destroyer of worlds that
right.
comes in and touches you, and you're like, no,
and then it's done.
He's
right.
as Dana White said at the press conference, he's a human being.
Yeah,
he's a very dangerous human being, but he's not going to come in and just destroy everybody with one touch. And I just think that's a weird take that I've seen people say that he got exposed by Gilbert. No, to me, he got tested by a top contender in the world early in his career.
The number 2 UFC guy, right?
Right, and he found a way to edge out.
Yeah, I forget what he is.
He was number 2. He dropped down to number 4. So I mean, dude, I don't know. It's so weird, man. I don't understand that take that he got exposed.
Yeah, and it was good. It was good on these two guys to sort of say that as well, and give him praise, for his performance. And but that's the kind of thing with that sort of performance, and maybe that's the whole thing. popular beliefs is fickle. Like as long as he's doing these crazy 1 round, 30-second things, taking 2 punches in 4 fights or whatever, they're like, okay, this guy, he has to be the thing. I think both these guys realize if they go out there and put on a crazy performance, there is that possibility they could jump over it, but they also were more along the lines of, if it doesn't, that's fine. If I have to fight one more time. I like it when guys realize, they that's a sign that these guys are veterans. They understand how the game plays. They know that for them to springboard over that would be incredibly difficult, that it's quite possible. But both of them are like, hey, if it means I have to fight another one, that's fine. And if it is Khamzat, say if that Khamzat-Colby fight happens, sure, bring the guy on. Like I love the fact that these two guys I've never seen one of them shy away from any competitor out there,
Not
so
at all.
It's interesting to see. I mean, two of the nicest guys that you can think, but this does have a lot of ramifications, I think, for the division, just for the fact that they are at the top, and very easily could be fighting, what could be, I would think, if the next fight's going to be the number one contender fight.
It absolutely could be. And it is interesting, too, because I do wonder, because now obviously Colby Covington, I think I haven't seen him make a comment yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong and I missed it. But I wonder, because it does seem like Colby Khamzat is the fight to make right now, right?
Yeah.
That's the fight to make. But it kind of seems to like
Do you hope he
Colby
smashes
want
that guy? Do you want him to You want him to smash that guy?
Let's just say I'm interested in the fight. Because it's so relevant in the division, Cole Coffey. It's so relevant in the division, you know what I mean? But I haven't seen Colby say, like, yeah, that's the fight I want right now. Like, I wonder if Colby's going to be like, hey, man, I fought for the title. Why do I got to fight this new kid that's just come up? But, I mean, so I don't know.
But if he does, you think he pushes for that 5 rounds?
Oh, absolutely.
That was the question I kept bringing up with these guys. What would have happened with the Gilbert fight if it would have went 2 more rounds?
Yep. And Gilbert, I talked to Gilbert yesterday, and he said he only wants 5-round fights moving forward. And he did say, look, I'm not trying to make an excuse.
Right.
He's like, it was a great fight. He's like, but I wanted to go 2 more rounds. He's like, I think I would have.
I love that he didn't make the excuse, but he was doing so well that if it was 2 more rounds, the damage he was starting to do, and it felt like he still was.
He was just winging those right hands.
He was still ramping up. I felt like he found his second win, third win, or something, and he was doing good damage.
Yep.
That if there was 2 more rounds, I'm not against saying that Gilbert would have won that fight.
Colby's pace over 5 rounds would be very difficult for Khamzat.
Right.
Very difficult.
Colby's a whole nother beast. As much as he can be a complete asshole on the mic, his cardio and his work and what he puts into it.
It's insane.
He's always going to be super prepared. And seeing what Gilbert did, and Gilbert has a good engine, behind him, that pales in comparison to what Colby, when he grinds and goes out there. It's ridiculous.
It's good. And you did say, and I will say, obviously, I know they've come out and said it in the media since. I did talk to Team Khamzat, while we were at the airport, and they did right away. They kind of said the same thing.
Was this when they were missing their
this was as their flight was taxiing down the runway. I was like, hold on, let me get this quote that I'm never going to report right now. I just want it for my own personal knowledge. And then I was like, thanks for the information. Looks like your plane's gone, but hey, we buddies, hey. But no, they did say right away. They were like, man, listen, that fight was like, they were very distraught at Khamzat's performance, because they were like, look, that was not the game plan. That was not the approach.
Yeah.
We were not supposed to be brawling like that. We were supposed to be jabbing.
He even said as much in the post fight that he didn't stick to what he was supposed to do.
And they think that, so I think right now, and so this is going to be the question too, right? Because now the question is, can Khamzat go 5 rounds? It looked like he was getting tired in 3, but at the same time, there's a guy that A, wasn't preparing for a 5-round fight, and B, admittedly said, I got too excited and I was trying to finish it in 2 minutes, whereas I didn't have to do that, So
might have a big adrenaline dump.
A big adrenaline dump. So I don't know. That's the fight I want to see. But these guys are going to be right behind it. And I love the fact that, hey, they again, if Colby doesn't want the fight, these 2 guys, whoever wins, will happily step up and say, I'll take that fight. That's what I love it, man. I mean,
that's it.
I get it, man. In this day and age, you got to kind of manage your career and pick your spots and create your opportunities, and that's cool. I get that.
Yep.
But there's just something about guys that are like, sign me up. I'm fighting the toughest dudes in the division. Get me the fight. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Yep.
So I like this main event. By the way, I will say, I said it's the only one that's kind of impactful in the rankings. If you look on the prelims, there is Lena Landsberg versus Pani Kiansad. They are, I think, number 11 and number 12. So that is a ranked fight, but it's not going to impact the next title challenger or anything like that. So,
Yep.
so I want to just clarify that, so it didn't seem like I was trying to minimize what they're doing. I will say, and you guys talked to him today. What your impression? I'm a little bit surprised, and I don't want to disrespect these guys either. But Kyle Ohio and Garcia in the co-main event,
Crazy.
it's weird, right?
Super crazy.
I mean,
it's like a debut. One guy's both of their, in the sense, it's both debuts.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
It's weird, right?
Debuts. I mean, I guess this is his third time fighting the Apex. He's
Right.
fought in the Contender Series 2 times. Gazi's coming in. This is his debut. And then you're going to put it as the co-main over other veterans. I mean, and it's a middleweight thing. I'm like, okay, debut, middleweight. It's not like you need one of these for like an immediate other fight or something. I mean, it maybe almost would have made more sense to have, I don't know, Devin Clark, William Knight, somebody.
To me, if I look at one, I say Miguel Baez, Andre Fiallo.
That would have been a good one.
That's gonna be, it's gonna be fireworks,
Yeah.
right? And there's some, again, I mean,
Did you listen to Miguel's
I missed
media
his.
day?
I missed his.
It was interesting. I mean, he's made some changes. He's coming in on 2 losses, but he talked about there was really just sort of, I don't know if it was just team, other things that he was going with. He had a lot of stuff sort of like mentally that's been affecting him, and supposedly he's shed a lot of that on the outside. So he's coming in. He started working, I think, with a sports psychologist, but it felt like
Very important.
that he's been dealing with some stuff that he thinks has been sort of hindering his performance. But it's funny now that all that sort of recently, like more of these fighters, I feel, have been sort of like giving us hints and tips of when they've been dealing with things, off to the outside that maybe we as meetings or people on the outside don't really get to see these underlying issues that have been affecting these people.
It is so impactful.
Yeah.
So impactful.
I mean, it's just as big. And I started asking him, I was like, we ask them a lot of times, we always look at their peak performance. Oh, okay, did they make weight? Is that weight going to affect it? But, the mental side of when that can really weigh you down is just as important to a lot of these guys. And so if this is something that's been really weighing him down, supposedly now he's made some changes, and he says he's coming in with a complete not different mindset, but that he's clear. His mind is free from a lot of things that were bringing him down. But it was just interesting, and I asked him, I was like, so would you say that up to this point, you've been getting by a lot of time on just your sheer physicality, like just being so good and so talented,
incredible athlete,
that you're just making it through, but that have you been, I don't know if it's just having the wrong people around that eventually, he's got too much other stuff going on that he's never peaked the right way going into a fight. I don't know, but it was interesting, just hearing that. So I'm interested to see, if this is a new version of him coming in. But who knows? I mean, I think it's another thing where we see these fighters recently, and it's just been totally keying on my head when I hear it, that we're getting some of these fighters that are dealing with these things that now I feel good that they bring it up and we talk about it and they get it out in the open, and then they get past it, but you never know, it helps other people to get past their things as well. We're so focused a lot of times on, what was your preparation? Who do you have in camp? How's your weight cut going? But never really talking about like, are you good, bro? Like, are you good? Like, things good? Like, what's going on? So it was interesting that he came out and was very open and talking about, he had been dealing with some things, but that he had to sort of clear the bad people that were around him. He didn't name names or anything like that, but obviously it made it seem like it was either people that he's been working with, training with, or something like that, and maybe it sound like personal life things or something, but so I'm excited to see how this goes. I mean, he's got a really, really tough fighter in front of him, but anytime somebody comes in and feels, and says that they've got their mind right, they've got their life together, you're hoping to see that performance from them. So
that's the people's co-main event.
That's the people's co-main event.
Miguel Baez. So listen, here's the only thing I can think is maybe they've got a bunch of announcements teed up for the Contender Series, and that's why they're featuring 2 Contender Series in the co-main. I don't know. It's just a surprise win, and I don't want to take away from
that's
this,
a stretch.
It's a stretch. I'm looking for reasons. Maybe they're going to announce the new season, and so they wanted to have 2 guys that are graduates.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Speaking of, well, this is totally off topic, whatever. There are, they took the Ultimate Fighter shirts down.
Yeah.
They're redoing all those, and like, because before, when you'd walk down that hallway to get into the thing, for people that don't know, if you've seen the Apex, as you're walking into the Apex and you're walking into the area where the weigh-ins and to get into the event arena, on the wall, all the Ultimate Fighter jerseys,
framed
and signs,
jerseys.
framed jerseys, signed things, and tiny little pictures of the coaches
Yeah.
are in there. They're redoing all those, and I think they're blowing up and getting bigger pictures and make them look better.
That's
so
cool.
they're redoing it. So I saw Rob Tonelletti and some of the other guys that were part of the video, not the video, but the photog, I forget what his division, I guess, is called now, but they're redoing all those things right now. Yeah, so I saw that. So they were carting a lot of those into some van when I was getting there.
Oh, wow.
So they're shipping them away to do some work or whatever, and then they're going to get them
That's
back.
cool, because they look cool, but you're right, they could be better. And there were some where like the thing had slipped and fallen, like the picture
Right.
inside the what do you call it? Not shadow box. Is it called a shadow box that we call it, or it's like a case where they'd like slipped or whatever, you know. So like,
something along those
so
lines.
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Good
But
to see you redo it. All right, well, maybe continue. I don't know, but it was kind of
Yeah.
weird. Listen, as far as the rest of the card, Munera Lizias is on there. Obviously, a fantastic fighter against Angel Loza, who stepped in on incredibly short notice. Cool story for him, right? That he fought a couple weeks ago, and he gets to come in here on like 2 days' notice, basically. You mentioned Devin Clark and William Knight on the prelims. That's something definitely worth paying attention to. Chris Barnett's on there. Come on, man. You got to always tune in for his fights.
yeah, he's awesome.
Rafa Garcia versus Jetsy Ronson could be one to pay attention to. Ronson's had a really weird career in the UFC so far. Haile Haile, depending on how you do his name. It seems like it's different every time he fights against Kevin Kroom. Listen, Jordan Levitt's on there. I like Jordan Levitt. I mean, there's some fights, but there's nothing here that I mean, this is the main event. This is, I don't know. I hate to say a one-fight card, but in terms of it's the closest the UFC will ever get to a one-fight card, basically. Meanwhile, Friday night is Bellator 277. I think you guys have Matt Erickson and Nolan King out there in California. Is that right?
I believe so, because I think they're gonna, because what is it? Hawaii's after the week
Going
after
there,
that,
and
or
they're
something like
going to Hawaii?
that. Yeah, then they're gonna do off to the Hawaii or whatever.
Listen, this Friday card, I want you to watch CFFC 107 on UFC Fight Pass, of course. We got Blake Builder versus Regivaldo Carvalho in the main event. We got Charlie Campbell versus Guillermo dos Santos in the co-main event. We got a couple debuts on the prelims. I want you to watch CFFC, okay? Let's get those numbers up for CFFC. We want to show Fight Pass that CFFC is the organization on UFC Fight Pass, and they need to be doing more dates. I mean, we need to be doing shows every weekend. Get John Morgan and CM Punk working is what I'm saying. So watch that, but maybe on a second screen, or maybe if you want to record it and watch it later. I will say Bellator 277 is a phenomenal card. Of course, in the top one, you got AJ Mckee versus Patricio Ferry in the main event. That's a rematch. The featherweight title's on the line. AJ Mckee is a guy that I've been just absolutely high on since he first came into the organization. Man, I had a chance to think maybe his second fight I was there for, and man, you could just see all the basis for greatness there, man. And now he's facing Pitbull again. That's a big one. The co-main event, light heavyweight Grand Prix final, titles on the line of Vadim Nemkov versus Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson has looked like an absolute warrior, just a stud since he's come over to Bellator.
Yeah.
Talked to him a couple weeks ago. He was just talking about how much happier he is now. He's fighting free, and that's allowed him to be who he is.
Well, he's fighting for free?
No, he is
Wow,
not
good
fighting
for him.
for
He
free.
really loves this
free
sport.
from a mental side. Yeah, he's happy. He's not angry, and so that's good. You got the return of Aaron Pico, who's been matched up with like 17 different opponents for this card, but he's got Adley Edwards now. Tim Johnson versus Linton Vassell is on there. And then, I mean, you go down, even the prelims on here, you got some names on here that are definitely worth paying attention to. So, listen, I know you're dialed into UFC because that's what you've been covering this week, but you're gonna maybe turn this one on Friday night while you're watching CFFC, of course. Of course.
I mean,
but
that's why I got two different viewing areas in here. I'll put on one
in fact,
screen.
you know what? I'll just say this: you don't even have to watch CFFC. Just make sure you pull it up, and you know what I mean. If you
so put it on all the streaming computers. Just
pad the
numbers.
just throw it on there. All right, just do me a favor. Anybody that's listening, log into UFC Fight Pass, turn it on, and then go have dinner. Go do it. You don't have to. Just make sure Fight Pass is on and streaming. And then if you want to, go watch Bellator. But, I mean, dude, this card's solid, right?
This card is good. This card, I mean, there's there have definitely been times when Bellator has pulled it out and brought a better card than the UFC on the same weekend. If this was on the Saturday, the same day, I think in sheer terms of like the badass fucking fights happening, like this card just blows the UFC card away. No offense to the UFC guys. This card is incredible. So the fact that this actually happening on Friday is even better because you're not going to take any you're not taking any eyeballs off, and you're giving something good. I mean, typically on Friday night, like our Friday's going to be done early. There's going to be no ceremonial weigh-ins. We're going to get all that shit done, taken care of in the morning, and then we can look at this one. Yeah, this card's going to be sick, man. I'm probably more. I mean, and plus, like, there's legit titles and like stuff that really matters, and I can't wait to see that rematch in the main event of Bellator, man.
Listen, if you haven't been watching Mckee, I mean, and I don't want to take away from Pitbull either. I mean, obviously,
Pitbull's a stud, man.
He's been like the face of the company for a long time. But I'm telling you, if you haven't been watching AJ Mckee, I've seen a lot of the conversations, and it makes sense, especially being on the heels of some title fights in the lighter divisions, and obviously the featherweight division. Alex Volkanovski.
Andre Volkanovski. Is that his cousin?
Andre Volkanovski. He's a good dude. Andre Volkanovski has been talking a lot about his cousin, Alex Volkanovski. But no, after that performance from Alex Volkanovski, people are saying, hey, could AJ Mckee compete with it over there? How would it?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, I mean, Volkanovski is one of the top pound for pound in the world right now, but it'd be a hell of a fight. And I'm telling you right now, Mckee could fit right into the featherweight lineup.
So many people were trying to put that off like it was a fluke, their last fight. Like, people don't understand how bad Pitbull just was destroying dudes. And AJ didn't make it look easy, but he made it look easy.
Yeah.
And some people were saying that, that was a fluke, blah, blah, blah. If he goes out there and does the same thing again, I hope that erases that thought from people's minds that this kid's the real deal, man. I remember ever since he got on my radar, I've always been super impressed, and he carries himself well. I mean, nobody wants to deal with media on fight week, and he's always been very gracious. He's always been very nice. And then he just goes out and just absolutely destroys dudes. He's got the look. He's got the mouth to kind of talk the shit that you need to talk. He keeps you entertained. And then he does what's most important. On fight night, he goes out there and delivers it, So if he does it again, man, people really, if they don't have him in that short list of badass featherweights, then they're just doing a disservice. They're not paying attention.
If you're not, if you're one of these people that only watches the UFC, and I understand it's a lot to keep up with, and that's fine.
I mean, they're giving you enough shit. There's an event every week. It's hard to keep track of other stuff.
I get it, but do your best to tune in for at least the last 3 fights. I don't want to take away from Tim Johnson and Linton Vassell either, but Aaron Pico.
That Pico Edwards fight is gonna be good.
Dude, I think Pico. I know people were quick to write off Pico, right?
Yeah.
I think he's rebuilt himself,
yeah.
and I think he is very talented, and I think he's got things going in the right direction.
Yeah.
He just got thrown in the deep end, man, and I know
he was so hyped. It was so hyped, but I mean, there's legit reasons why he was hyped. I mean, the kid is an absolute stud.
Yep.
He's absolute. But I think you're right. I think he's firing on other cylinders, and maybe that's because of the losses that he's had or something.
He just, it was his team strategy. It wasn't that Bellator threw him in the deep end and they ruined his career. His team and his people behind him were like, give us the toughest challenges. And my understanding, Bellator was like, nah, let's slow roll him a little bit. I mean, Bellator does this with a lot of guys. So they develop them right. But again, there was so much hype around Pico that his team was like, nope, throw us in the deep end right away. And in retrospect, I think it wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I guess he's here one way or the other. But I'm telling you, if you were one of those guys that wrote Pico off because of his early losses, don't, man. The guy is talented. And then again, you're going to see this reborn Corey Anderson against Vadim Nemkov, who's incredibly talented. And then you're going to see AJ Mckee versus Patricio Pitbull. So at least catch those last 3 fights, man. I think it's going to be a good one.
You want to lay out your picks for those 2 fights? The title fights?
Dude, I'm going to go with Mckee. I really do think he's the real deal. I think Pitbull's dangerous as can be.
Yep.
And I'm being honest with you, my head is telling me Nemkov, but my heart is pulling for Corey Anderson, man.
I'm in the exact same.
Yep.
Exact same. I mean, Nemkov has really proven himself to me that at first I was like, I don't know who this guy is.
Right.
I don't know if he's going to do it. But then he destroyed UFC vets, man. And as much as Corey is resurging and has found himself again, I just feel like this Nemkov kid is the real deal.
It's the real deal, man. This is a tough challenge, man. So I'm gonna pull. Yeah. I'm cheering for Corey Anderson. I'm a fan of Mr. Beast in 25-8, Mr. Overtime. I like Corey Anderson, and I've always enjoyed my conversations with him, kind of behind the scenes as well as on record. So I'm gonna be pulling for him. But Vadim Nemkov, man, he's the real deal. So busy weekend. But again, make sure CFFC 107 streaming on Fight Pass. You don't have to watch it. Just stream it. Just
put it on your phone, set your phone down, walk away from it.
Walk away. Go have dinner. Get a drink. Do what you got to do. Listen, I think you should watch. I think you'll enjoy it. But I'm saying even if you don't.
So you're saying that our numbers not great for these CFFC?
Oh, no, they are great. But I'm trying to get them even better, bro.
Yeah, right?
Hey, man. This is a new phase in my career.
So make sure when you turn it on before you set the phone down and walk away while it's playing, if you just want to tweet that you think that the commentary staff is
phenomenal,
send that out and then set the phone down and walk away.
Now, before I couldn't really be all in on my commentating career, right? Because I worked for an organization that didn't necessarily support my pursuit of commentary. So I always just kind of was quiet about it and just kind of did my thing off to the side.
Yeah.
Now I work for an organization that supports me in doing my commentary, and I want to do more of it. Yeah. So that's why I'm preaching about the numbers.
Well, you should be proud of it.
I want to blow it up so that Fight Pass is going, we need you guys to do more dates because I want to be calling fights as much. I love calling fights as much as I like my job as a reporter. I love calling fights, man. It's fun.
Well, you guys put on a good product. I mean, it's good. The banter's fun. And Phil's came a long way, man. He's got a great personality. You guys work well together. I mean, it's almost as good as the MMA Roadshow banter, but
a few less beers together.
Yeah, that's
since
true.
He doesn't drink. But,
that's true.
It is fun. It is funny, man. I really do enjoy working with Punk, and he's become a good friend, which is like the most unlikeliest of friends ever. I remember because it was Dave Schaller that actually put us together. It was like, hey, do you want to come do? And I was like, me and Punk, the dude that doesn't drink, and the dude and me that knows nothing about professional wrestling whatsoever. Like, you think this is gonna be good? And
they still eat it up when people still eat it up when they see him, don't they?
Dude,
he's still as big as ever, right?
Like that dude cannot walk in a room, man. Did
he get even bigger since he went back?
I think so. I mean, if it's possible. I mean, literally, we have to usher that dude out, in and out of places, back doors and stuff, because he gets mauled, man. He gets absolutely mauled. It's amazing how popular he is.
That's pretty cool.
It's cool to see. It's
good for him.
Really cool to see. So yeah, that's Friday night, and that's where I'm flying out tonight. All right, listen. I did want to share an interview I did earlier today with one UFC Hall of Famer. Forrest Griffin has taken on a new responsibility. So as if his job wasn't enough that he was doing UFC Vice President of Athlete Development, as if that wasn't enough, now he's taking on a new role, and it's kind of being announced. We're kind of breaking it because I think the announcement's going to be made tomorrow, but basically there's a new affiliate for the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation in the United States, essentially an official national amateur organization that helps create the team that'll go compete for these amateur world championships. The IMMAF never really got to cover it much at MMA Junkie because obviously we didn't really cover amateur MMA, but I was always watching what they were doing. I'm a big fan of what they've been doing. They're hoping to one day get mixed martial arts into the Olympics. I mean, that's where they ultimately want to go. Still a long way to go, but they've come a long way in 10 years. It was announced 10 years ago, and I remember them saying that, and I was like, oh my God, what a huge undertaking this is going to be. But they've been doing it, man. They're doing these national tournaments, and then they're doing world championships, and Mohamed Mckee, the guy that is all the rage right now, he's a multiple-time champion. Amanda Hebus was a champion. I mean, it's cool to see what they're developing, and now they're going to be trying to develop this in the United States, and Forrest Griffin is going to be a part of this organization. Awesome. So thought I'd give you a little update, a little share on this interview that we did. There is a video of it up on the MMA Underground YouTube channel.
That little site.
It's a small developing website, but we're getting there. But I figured you'd want to hear the audio here as well. So before we tee that up, let me just say thank you to our newest sponsors, Cold Coffee, the fine folks at O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Yeah. That was in the contract, by the way. They did want us to sing the jingle, and I said, you know what? You sponsored the MMA Roadshow. We'll sing your jingle. Right now, you can find the right auto parts, tools, and supplies for your vehicle at O'Reilly. Shop online or visit one of our 5,600 locations and enjoy free next-day delivery and free pickup in store. Right now on the website, O'ReillyAuto.com, you can get 15% off, $125 or more using the code SPRING15. Online, shipped to home only. See details. Oh, oh,
Oh,
oh, O'Reilly's Auto
Auto
Parts.
parts.
Yeah.
That's where people go when they know what they're doing about their cars. That's where people go.
And they're big MMA fans. They're supporting the MMA Roadshow. So, shout out.
I shot it. I like it. I like it. And here's your audio.
Here's Forrest Griffin.
All right, so Forrest Griffin, obviously, man, that needs no introduction, but a man who now has a new job title as well. So maybe that needs an introduction. For people that don't know, the United States Fight League has been named the official Amateur MMA Federation of the United States. This is all kind of newly developed. And UFC Vice President and UFC Hall of Famer Forrest Griffin is going to oversee the Athlete Selection Committee. So a lot of words there, but let's talk about it, right? You've been involved with the International Mixed Martial Arts Federations for about a year now as part of the Athletes Commission, but this is even more responsibility. And as I was joking with you as we were getting started, more responsibilities for an already very, very busy guy. So talk to me about why this is something that made sense for you and something that you wanted to do.
Right. So in essence, I definitely wasn't looking for another job. But if you think about, IMF's goals, they're aligned with my personal goals. And more importantly, they're in line with what the UFC and the UFC Performance Institute wants to do. And if you think about every sport, especially in the States, we have a collegiate pathway, a semi-pro pathway, a little more clear pathway to professionalization, right? That doesn't so much exist in the States. And it's funny. You see all these great amateur athletes, and not that a couple haven't come from the amateur leagues in the States, but internationally they do a better job of organizing and basically creating a platform for their young and older amateur athletes and a pathway for them to either go pro or go to a world game or a championship, right? So that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to kind of we're looking to professionalize the amateurs to an extent. And that sounds awkward to say, but what I mean by that is just, provide more uniform opportunities to U.S. amateur athletes.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned obviously Muhammad Mckee is one of those names that everybody's talking about right now. Amanda Hebus is another one that came up through the IMMAF. So I guess what I want to start is just ask you, because I remember the IMMAF launching in 2012. And I remember hearing that vision of what they want to do, which is organize amateur MMA around the globe, maybe even potentially getting it to the Olympics someday. And I thought, what a massive undertaking that's going to be. But 10 years later, they've done a pretty damn good job with it. So I guess what can you say about kind of what they've done so far and the vision that they've had and just how it's, maybe for people that don't know how it is coming together outside of the United States?
And that's exactly what I would pick up on. They've done a great job. They've done, they've held events, they've held shows, they've come up with ways to accurately rank fighters, to get these, there's not a ton of money in it, right? It's amateur. That's the whole point. To get them to the competitions so they can compete. And just as importantly, to enforce a very reasonable rule set, that allows athletes to progress that skill pathway, up to adulthood without sustaining, traumatic injuries, et cetera. Right. So, again, they've done a lot of great things. We've been a little behind in the States, one, because the amateurs here have not been as organized. I mean, again, you think about it, we're 50 different states with multiple commissions. That presents a challenge in and of itself. A lot of countries don't have that working against them. But we feel, in the States and the other people on this board with myself, that if we did a better job of capturing that U.S. talent, if we could get the states and the regions to work together better, we could really produce some great MMA amateurs for the states to compete and do well in those championship tournaments. And again, for my role, these are other people that are going to bring a lot of skilled people that have worked in this space for a long time. They're just going to bring these people to me, and I'll help them, make decisions on what athletes we use moving forward. So, and that's something that I do a lot of in my day-to-day job, just as far as studying the sport, right? And how can we evolve the sport? How can we change the sport? How can we improve the way training is being done for the sport? How can we use this science that we have and combine it with what is the essence of skill learning, right?
It's interesting. So the idea would be to kind of, I guess, get everybody on the same page. Because I think about, like, say, like an organization like Tough Enough right here in Las Vegas, right? Been doing amateur shows for years, do a phenomenal job. A lot of people have come through. Ronda Rousey, right?
That was the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
But a ton, you know, having lived here, there's been a ton of our athletes that have come through there as well, be it on the amateur side or for the, you know, getting paid a couple $100 side, right?
Right. So is the idea that, like, you know, groups, organizations like that around the country that have their own little role in their areas would kind of work together with you guys to help select and identify athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we want to include them, and we want them to let us know those results and who the athletes are, so we can better identify the best talent, right? So, you know, if you kind of standardize the comparisons, it'll help as far as, you know, identifying what's what. And, you know, regionally, like, think about like California and Camo, they've done a great job. You know, and I guess we would kind of like to spread that model, not them, but that model. And, you know, really kind of get that level of organization nationwide. So, you know, other regions can produce great athletes as well.
That's pretty cool. So do you envision, or I don't know if you've gotten this far yet, but do you envision like a national championship tournament at some point to identify these athletes?
Yes. So that's been discussed. Yeah. And I mean, again, look, it comes down to the details. How are we identifying the athletes? And that's what we're here to figure out. We're going to identify the athletes. What are the competitions? Are the people in one area, do they have a higher weighting than the people from another area because of the level of competition, you know? So regionally, the level of competition can vary. And then, how do we get the funding for them to travel and compete together in some middle ground, you know?
Very cool, man. A lot of work to do. Should say, I guess there's already going to be a junior tournament scheduled for May 14th. It's actually at Dan Henderson's Athletic Training Center. So I want to ask you about this, Forrest, because even for me, because it's athletes, I believe, as young as 8, from 8 to 17. So these youth championships. Yeah. You and I, man, we lived through the days of trying to convince people that this was a real sport, right? I mean, we had to tell people, we promise you this is not what you think it is. It's a real sport. Are you concerned, or have you heard any already concern or pushback about kids getting into it? Are we saying, what 8 years old, is that too early to be having, you know, athletes involved in mixed martial arts?
No, not really. I mean, the rule sets make it relatively safe. I mean, the rule sets make it safer than American football, right? Not to throw American football under the bus, but it's not that dangerous. You think about wrestling and you know, I mean, I think the rule sets are great. The way they're enforced is great. This is a relatively safe sport. You know, it doesn't seem like it visually sometimes, but you know, my daughter does cheer and she's small, so she's kind of, you know, she's on the top of the thing, and I'm a little like, okay, it's like she's 3 people up. That's not the softest surface to be followed on, you know. So, you know, every sport has inherent dangers, and I think again, rising tide raises all ships, obviously, but I think the more people that partake in the sport as an amateur, the more appreciation they'll have for it, and you know, the more ability to understand the details that are happening in, you know, the octagon or in other fights, and the great ability they'll have to understand that it's not inherently dangerous.
Yeah, I guess probably important to point out to people, you know, it's not 8-year-olds with full-on head strikes and,
right. Yeah.
We're doing the best to protect them. Well, that's awesome, man. So I guess, what's your ultimate goal for us? I mean, as you said, this is going to be a lot of work, but it aligns with your passion. It aligns with your vision. I mean, is the idea, like, is your greatest vision is, I'm going to see an athlete come from the amateur ranks all the way up to a UFC champion, a UFC Hall of Fame? I mean, would that be like the greatest thing for you?
Well, I mean, that's going to happen with or without me. That's going to happen, you know, on a lot of levels. I guess our goal is to keep the states up with everyone else, you know, And yeah, that'll happen. There'll be a U.S. athlete that comes through the amateur ranks, does well, and then goes on to win a belt in a major organization like a UFC championship belt, etc. Like that. That's that's only a matter of time.
Pretty exciting times, and I'll be like I said. I'll be honest. When the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation first launched, I just thought, man, how do they ever get all of this done? Man, it's a beautiful vision, but
Yeah,
man, if they haven't worked their tail off behind the scenes to really make strides, so it's cool to finally see that model making it here in the United States.
no, I agree. Obviously, I didn't really even find out too much about it until, ironically, I'm trying to think of the year. It was probably 2015. And I'm sure you were here out at the big UFC Expo, and they had the 3 cages going, the 3, and I was like, okay. And that's when I saw it with uniforms, with the protective equipment, the different levels of, like you said, no striking to the head based on the age. And I said, oh, these guys, like that was really impressive to watch. Like, I've helped put on small shows, and that was no small show. You have athletes from all over, they're putting them together. And so when I saw that, I think it was about 2015, that's kind of when I had faith that they could really do something with that, I'm sure you were probably at that expo as well, but it was one of the tournaments, and hopefully we'll get to do that again in more UFC expos. And, the UFC can kind of help get those athletes out here. And I don't see why that's not just a path to have some of that, competition happen out in Vegas, fight capital of the world, right? So, yeah.
I love
like
it.
I said,
Rather
that
than
was
national
an
champion.
amazing event, well put on, well run. And that's when I was like, okay, these guys are serious. And that's actually the moment I was like, man, I should get involved. I should see if I can't help, accelerate what they're doing a little bit, because they're doing the right things. Maybe I can lend my voice to it. Maybe I can, just help them in some fashion. And this is really just the continuation of that. It started with like the athletes board, and which is very similar to what I do here. What are the things that athletes need to perform their best? What can we and can't we take away from their schedules or from their training to help them perform their best? And I'm pretty happy with the way things are going, and I think this for IMAF could be, a huge step. And I think, it's ironic, right? Like, this is an organization that's very popular internationally, but not yet in the States. And I think that's, I think it's long overdue. So, yeah.
I think it's about to change. I agree. What needs to happen now, Forrest? Like these athletes, these organizations across the nation, do they need to reach out to you? Are you guys going to be going out and scouring the nation? How does this all get together?
Well, I would definitely, we all have our links in, but I would definitely love anyone that has anything to reach out to me, and I can put them in any interest in helping, or, hey, I know this guy or that guy or this organization, please reach out to me, and I'll get them in touch with, the specific people they need to, right? So David Dink and Eric Garcia, John Franks is the guy that really tells me the plan, and he's a guy that's been involved with amateur MMA for years and years and years. So really, I'm not, it's not like I'm out here on my own. I have a lot of people that know this territory and have been in this space for a long time. And again, I just kind of help them make decisions on the athletes, and then just see, what kind of partnerships can we leverage to build this thing, to get it funded, et cetera, right? So I think that's the exciting, is there opportunity for some US-based sponsors to kind of help us get some bills paid, I don't know. Do you know of any? Can you hook us up? What do you? We'll start slow. We'll start with the talent. Bring us the talent. Bring us the organizations that are putting on the talent, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, you don't want my funding for us. So I don't think you'd get very far with if I'm writing the checks, man. We might get one athlete funded.
No, hey, you know people though.
That's true.
Trust me, I didn't expect it to come from. No offense.
Oh man! Well, congratulations, Forrest.
Nobody's asking MMA reporters for money.
That is, yeah. If you're ever getting into MMA journalism, make sure you understand you ain't making money off of it. All right,
you love it. You love it. Hey, again, I got into the sport when there's $250 to be made, and that's if you won all the fights. So and the loser didn't get paid in the first fights I started in, because I thought, hey, this is a great sport. This is cool. This is the epitome of human competition. Let's make it as safe as it's meant to be. Let's let's expose as many people to it. It's not for everybody, but it is great for a lot of kids. And you think about like growing up doing an amateur martial art, it doesn't mean you'll ever turn pro. It just means that, like, hey, how many high school football players go to the NFL? Not many.
Not many.
It's still a great way to work out, to develop a base, to develop confidence, to, some self-defense techniques. There's a lot to it and a lot of benefits that it offers, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Espouse those and get people in it, and yeah.
If you have a kid, there's no reason your kid shouldn't be training martial arts, just for the confidence factor. That's why I was trying to say, like with my son, for instance, I'm not saying my son will never get his ass kicked on the schoolyard, but you know what? I know he's not going to be afraid of anybody because he's been in there training, and you're not going to be able to intimidate him. And I think that's what matters. That's what bullying's about, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I won't tell you my daughter's story, but she did jits. She did jits for a while, and then it just wasn't her passion. She didn't mind it, but I would notice that, like, as we were running a class, she would be on the side braiding hair. And I thought, it's not for everybody. Not for everybody. Maybe she'll find it later, but right now, it's just not her thing.
I love it. You got to expose her. It was awesome. Well, congrats on Newgate, Forrest. I guess while I have you, anything on the athlete development front? We heard Dana talking this past weekend that, the pursuit of more performance institutes is kind of starting to pick up again, I guess, now that the world's opening back up. Is there anything on that front that's exciting that you can tell us about, or is it just kind of slow going right now with the way the world is?
Well, for us, it's like it does. I was actually happy to have the delay in Mexico. No, seriously, we need to identify a staff, identify the services we're going to provide, identify the model, right? Like, so in Shanghai, we have like an academy model. In Mexico, we will have an academy model. It may be smaller than the one in Shanghai. You've got to identify your partners. There's just a lot of logistical things on our end we really want to have dialed in before we open doors and, here's athletes and we have UFC fighters coming. Again, though, I think it's going to be great for that entire South America market, right? And then eventually, I'd love personally, and this is me personally, not the UFC or the UFC PI, so put a different hat there. I'd love to see one down in Brazil. We recently hired Claudia Gadelha, and that's kind of, as she's worked, we've realized, like, we missed a lot with athletes that don't speak English and Portuguese is their primary language, right? So, and that's, there's always going to be learnings like that coming. And we're, again, this organization, the people that work here, you've been on the road with us, so you know how hard these people work. But it's not just that they work really hard. They're always looking to improve and better the service. How can they support athletes better, And I think the Mexico one will be huge. Maybe in Brazil, maybe, hopefully, maybe I'm just talking on my butt, but it would be nice. And then I think it's a great way to support athletes where they are.
That's a great idea. I guess you got to talk Dana into it. Basically, is what it boils down to.
We'll give it some time. We'll let the sport continue to grow. The one thing I'll say is, outside of the U.S., Brazil is the second most athletes has the second most athletes on the UFC roster, right? So It's natural. And I think for Mexico and Latin and South America, or Middle Americas, I guess technically, we don't have as many UFC fighters from those regions as we should. The sport is more popular. I think that a PI there will serve to kind of, and again, I hate to use the PI catchphrase, but accelerate the evolution of those fighters.
Very cool, man. Awesome to see how much you get, Forrest. I mean, you're giving back, right? I mean, you're helping develop the sport on the professional level, the amateur level. I mean, this is it's still very much a passion of yours at this point, not just a job.
Yeah, well, now as you're saying this, I'm starting to get stressed. There's a lot of work to be done. We're talking about it. This is the easy part. Talking about it. We actually got to start doing this work. Oh my God, what have I done? No, I can't, man. It's like I said, as far as the IMAF, they're well supported. There are great people doing this, and again, I'm just a small part of it, getting to help these people. So, yeah, again, anybody in the region that has a show that's primarily amateur or has amateur fighters that are looking to promote, that's we're looking to dial it in and just basically hear from people that have information on that. So I appreciate you helping us get the word out.
Awesome, Forrest. Well, I'll let you go, but you got too much work to do to be talking to me on a video call here, so I'll let you get to it, man. But congrats on the new gig, and man, I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops.
All right, thank you, sir. Take it easy, my friend.
All right, always a pleasure to catch up with Forrest Griffin, and I'm excited about this, man. Like I said, I wouldn't say I was skeptical when they announced the implementation of the IMMAF back in 2012, but I was just like, man, how the hell are they going to get all this done? But damn it, they haven't been doing it. It's nice to see the United States is finally getting on board because we've fallen behind these other countries, man. These other countries have these national organizations, and they're helping develop these prospects. And, man, this is going to be a great opportunity for U.S.-based athletes to kind of get that same experience, that same recognition. So I thought that was pretty cool. And any reason to talk to Forrest Griffin, you're going to talk to Forrest Griffin, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, right? Hall of Famer, yo.
A Hall of Famer, man. It's cool to see how he's parlayed, everything into a job and a career and, beyond just the Hall of Fame fighting career, man.
Speaking of that, Hall of Fame, what did you think about, I want to say that just happened in Jacksonville. They picked...
Cub Swanson.
Yeah, what'd you think about that?
It's a good fight, but it's weird to me. I feel like there's so many other fights that could go before it, but I don't know what they base it on. Maybe it's just maybe it's an opportunity to honor Cub while he's still fighting or something because they know he's only got a few left, and to let him soak that in as like Hall of Famer.
I could see that.
Maybe that's it.
It's crazy because we have so many of these fights that kind of pop up, and you're like, oh my God, fight of the year, fight of the year, fight of the year. And I remember when this one happened, we were like, oh my God, that's a fight of the century, fight of the year. And then I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Literally forgot about it until they brought it up. I was like, oh my God, you're right. And I was like, maybe that's why they're like, hey, don't forget this fight over here.
That's why I think maybe, like I said, because I do think there's something cool about the fact, like, I mean, gosh, not that, I mean, we think about how many fights there are, but like, for instance, when they put Clay Guida, Diego Sanchez in, right?
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was cool that their last couple of fights, they're UFC Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? So when you talk to them, you refer to them, they're UFC, and that's cool. You know what I mean?
Cool.
So maybe that's part of the reason. Because I mean, look,
because it is different in other sports. Where you have to be gone for
5
so long
years
before you're even eligible or whatever. So I guess you're right. I guess it is kind of cool to be able to see it and give them that honor, knowing that they can come out. They are wearing the Hall of Fame. Cape, badge, whatever you want to say. Once you have that, the unknown, you know what I'm saying. Like
you gotta wear like a cape from now on.
Imagine if they did give him a cape or something like a jacket, like a Masters. Like here's your.
Well, they do give him that jacket, but not. But I would say it'd be funny to wear like a cape to the you got to wear it to the cage, bro. Sorry, like from now on, active Hall of Famers are required to wear.
Can you get old D-Dub on the phone? So
Venom capes.
Behind that. Venom capes, but only Hall of Fame edition. Hall of Fame edition.
Come on. All right, listen. All right. So listen, we've laid out your weekend for you. You got on Friday night, you've got CFFC, you've got Bellator. On Saturday night, you got UFC. Of course, if you want to, patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow, we can get you that and a half as well. We'll get you taken care of. I did want to give one little programming note. Jake Paul is going to be on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel on April 19th. So that's next Tuesday before we do another show. I'm a big Real Sports fan. I've always liked the show, man. I watch every episode of it. But Jake Paul's going to be featured on there, which is sure to piss some people off, I'm sure. So.
Yeah. Do they say like what they're going to talk about, or they just want to?
Would you like to hear the official description from the show?
Sure.
From rapping to elaborate pranks, Jake Paul's YouTube videos are viral sensations, amassing more than 7 billion views.
Damn.
Now, with no experience at all, Paul has decided to become a full-time professional boxer. Undefeated in his first 5 pro fights, Paul still hasn't gone toe-to-toe with a boxer with a ranking. Nevertheless, Millions of people have been buying pay-per-views to watch his fights, making him one of the biggest and richest names in the sports today.
Wow, is that kind of a little bit of a burn?
I mean,
The ranked
well,
boxing.
they're looking.
I mean, if anything, they should be like, I know, but if anything, it should be like, how fucking cool is that?
Wow.
The guy's making more money
that's
than the guys at the top. Yeah,
well, I think that's what they'll tell the real sports. They take a look at. They'll be like, how has he been able to succeed? How is he making more money than anybody else, even though he's not fighting anybody? You know?
Yeah, interesting.
So
Good for him.
thought I'd throw that out
$7
there.
billion, man. That's fucking crazy numbers, man. Good for him.
It is nuts. All right, listen. I got to pack up. I gotta head out. I got to jump on a plane. I got to finish packing actually, then jump on a plane. Busy week for me. Busy week for everybody. So before I run, I'll just tell you, thanks for listening.